Okay, so today when I was moving all my stuff, I was going through this closet that I never messed with, and I was looking in some of the shoes, and my quarter-inch plug was in a dress shoe, and I have no idea how it got in there.
How?
But
Wait,
it got in there.
it had. You have no idea? Like you actually?
Dude, if I would have known, I would have looked there first when I was first trying to find it, but I couldn't find it anywhere, and that's why I ended up having to order a new cable and everything. But anyways, I'm back to the curly Q cable, and we're good.
Did you go to a nice event with your quarter-inch cable? Any weddings?
Dude, it was my plus one. At this really fancy occasion I went to, and everyone was like, "Wow, you're shiny."
No big deal. I brought my quarter-inch cable in case you guys need to get down.
To be fair, it was just the tip. Anyways, everyone, welcome to another episode of the Audio Nerds podcast with my, or I should say that my fuck. Okay,
man.
I'm gonna try that again.
Yeah.
Everyone, sorry. Okay, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Audio Nerds podcast. I am Divide, aka Alex, though not in that order, and my co-host Fable, aka Nick, also not in that order, but that's our names.
But it's me. Hello,
it is you.
What's
Welcome.
up? Welcome everybody. Welcome back. We are. Oh man, this is gonna be a fun one. I'm excited. I'm already laughing, and we haven't even started the podcast yet.
I know we were having some good talks about some stuff beforehand that you may have caught there at the beginning. But so as you see in the title, today's subject is top 5 artists, and I think to elaborate on that a little bit more, it's the top 5 artists that sure are our favorites, but also probably our most influential artists as well. And we also have a few honorable mentions, I believe. Correct?
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, I wrote down 5 honorable mentions, but we don't have to. I know that like as we continue, it's just going to happen the way it happens.
I know. I have 5 as well, 5 honorable mentions as well as 5 top artists. But all right, dude. Well, I'll first throw it to you. Tell me one of your top 5 artists.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with one that's pretty obvious because anybody who follows me on Twitter probably knows this one, and anybody who knows me in real life probably knows this one. And it's
Don't say it.
It's Drake.
Drake.
I mean,
yes.
I'm like your basic, super Drake stan. I love everything he's created, and I don't know. I get a lot of flack for this. A lot of people don't like Drake, and I don't really get it personally because I kind of feel like Drake has something for everybody. But then again, maybe that's just me being a Drake stan. I grew up obviously I was super into rock before I liked I liked rap my whole life. Like when I heard some certain stuff, but I grew up mostly in rock and all that stuff. So melody and all this stuff was really important to me. So when I first heard Drake, I remember thinking ooh, this is kind of the Young Money era just brought like this melody. He was singing, he was rapping. I liked it. So ever since I guess high school, I've been listening to Drake, and it's cool because I never stopped. So I guess he's definitely one of my favorites.
No, for sure. I will say I used to, as you probably remember, I used to be a pretty big hater on Drake like most, but I can confidently say I was very ignorant when I had my opinions on him because I will still say to this day, his music isn't really for me, but I respect the hell out of him and everything he's done. I think it's insane. Like no one else has done what he's done. People may still argue that, even though numbers don't lie. But at the end of the day, it's not for everyone. But I think, he's definitely, arguably, probably one of the biggest impacts on your style and everything that you do.
Most definitely. And I totally do understand that. Like when people don't when Drake's not for them, it does make sense to me. I guess I shouldn't have said earlier that I don't get why people don't like him. I feel like he has something for everyone because he doesn't, and his music isn't. It's not like this big production. There's never it's not about that. It's more of he actually just it's almost like he just everything's so dry. It's oftentimes no reverb, very 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 like intimate feeling, and there's not a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in the production usually, but like what he does is he creates things that just never leave my brain. Like, and I guess I'm obsessed with that because
Yeah.
that's my favorite part of writing music is trying to get things stuck in people's heads. And he also can just rap, man. That's one thing that people don't give him, which I really do actually. I do think Drake can just rap. Like he can hang on a boom bap track with like anybody, and so that's cool. But like at the very same time, he can go and make a hit song with like some drums and maybe like a bass line. But he really does keep it super minimal. It's very dry. I totally understand where you're coming from, and I get when people tell me that he's not their cup of tea. It's just wow, my voice is already cracking. We're off to a great start. um,
Once per episode. At least it's done now.
I guess I'll leave it with that. I'll leave it at that with Drake because I could probably talk about Drake for a long time, and I don't want to stay stuck on him. But yeah, he's definitely
For sure.
one of my biggest ones.
Respect, absolute respect for him. And hey, I know that's like the biggest thing that you and Leanna have in common. That she like loved when she got that T-shirt from like Goodwill. It's like I can't remember what it said on it, but it was like that picture of him from like Degrassi.
Yes, dude.
With like something at the bottom.
I forget what it said, but it was dope. And I think it's just that he makes me feel like a baller. He really does. He makes me feel better about my day. Like when I listen to Drake, and he's not talking about nonsense. He's usually explaining something intellectual and trying to break through barriers in my mind. I think it's just the energy thing. You know what I mean? It's like I really do actually. On days where I'm not feeling like great, I'll pop some Drake on, and I feel confident. I feel a lot of things. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
So I think one question that we can add to the end of our artists and our explanation on what you love about their music, how has he been influential to your music then? More specifically.
Well, I would say that when I first started rapping myself, I really took to heart, the mechanics behind it. I'm not saying I don't now, but I was way more mechanical about the way I was trying to write raps. Like I thought it's hard to explain. I guess I just thought speed mattered. I thought that double entendres, all this stuff mattered. And as I started to listen to more Drake, Andre 3000, Jay-Z, Biggie Smalls, I kind of learned that the greatest rappers of all time, even Nas, like the list goes on, but they don't. It's not about mechanics. It's about energy, delivery, relatability, and I'd say catchiness. Like, Biggie Smalls can say, "I love it when you call me Big Papa," and the entire world can remember that for decades.
Dude, 100%.
It's like, why did that happen? It's because it's the way he said it. It's who he is. It's his energy. And when I started to listen to more of Drake, I realized, no, I need to live in every beat that I'm in. I need to say things that people are going to remember. That's always my goal on a cipher, and it's partly because of Drake, partly because of a lot of rappers. Is that what can I say that will make everybody listen and not forget and want to listen back? And I guess that's what I've learned from that.
Right.
Yes, I guess that it's mostly about. I guess I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from Drake.
Yeah, I know that's kind of a loaded question because I know that it's not as easy as like, oh, it was his lyric style or something like that. I know it's kind of all encompassing, and it shows for sure. And like I said a little bit ago, I have so much more respect for a lot of those artists. Not that I didn't have respect for them before, but I feel like, and there's obviously absolutely nothing wrong with rapping fast, but there is something that's really powerful about someone that is delivering something and you remember it. Like the second the song's done, you're like, I got to listen to that again because of like the message and the energy and all that kind of stuff. And I just think like that alone takes huge skill to be able to get someone's attention like that. And you're not trying to like, just be like right.
I would compare it. I mean, there is an art to it, and I respect fast rapping. So sometimes when it sounds clean and when it's done correctly, but I would compare it to sweeping on the guitar. right? Like some guitar players might say that's the best guitar player in the world because he can sweep really well and he sweeps
Mm,
and then but then for me, Carlos Santana is my favorite guitar player because he, like, we've talked about this. He sings
energy.
energy. He sings with his guitar. It's about the notes that he's hitting. The greatest of all time are not trying to go that fast. They are just trying
Mm.
to write the best verse of all that they can write. It's not a matter of that. I don't disrespect. I wouldn't. I don't discount fast rapping. I just think it's a tool and it should be used in proper ways. I hear a lot of people that are constantly flippity hippiting and and it's clearly a crutch. You know what I mean? It's clearly a crutch. They're doing it because
Well,
they that's what they think is what people think is good, and it's like when you
right.
when you watch a guitar player like I was saying when they solo and
Yeah.
they're just sweeping the whole time. You're like, okay, but when are you going to get to the meat and potatoes?
Yeah, no, dude, that's such a good analogy because when I was first learning how to play guitar, all I cared about was going as fast as I possibly could.
Right.
And the older I've gotten, I'm like, wait a second. Listening to a blues solo for 5 minutes is like
oh
just
yeah,
beautiful, you know? But it doesn't discredit or take away the sweeping and the crazy fast picking and the tapping and all that kind of stuff because that has its own big skill too. But anyways, I totally know what you mean and I think that's great. I think that's a really good way to explain it. So anyways, I guess we should probably move on. I'll go on to one of mine. I'm going to start on a different spectrum, I guess. I'll say John Mayer.
oh nice, yeah. I mean, I can't believe I didn't put him on even on my honorable mentions. Wow.
You didn't? Oh my gosh.
Oh, well,
That's okay.
well, of course, elaborate on that. But yeah, I couldn't agree. I love John Mayer. Holy shit.
John Mayer, man. Yeah, he obviously gets a lot of flack for his personality and the things he's done, but I don't really give a shit about any of that. It's all about the music, and that man is a genius, an absolute genius as a guitar player, as a songwriter, and I think I love his voice. Some people don't. I think he's extremely talented all around. Just take out the ego because that doesn't matter because we're talking about like influence and talent. And I just think that guy has it. And I know that for me, when I first started getting out of the metal stuff and I was really getting into the more of the blues and the rock and the jazz stuff, he was just like incredible. Like his Nokia Live. Oh my gosh, it's like one of the best live performances ever. It's just absolutely incredible. And I would say like the biggest way he's influenced me would have to be guitar and vocals for sure.
Oh yeah,
I don't
can
really
hear it.
sound like oh, thank you. I used to try and sound like him a lot and I don't do that anymore. But when I was like just out of high school and stuff, when I was really into like continuum and battle studies and all that stuff, like I wanted to be that so bad. I loved everything about his style as a guitar player and everything too. So yeah, I would say that for sure. I know that you love him too, right?
Oh yeah, talk about somebody who makes things last forever. I mean, like Slow Dancing in a Burning Room. I mean, Gravity. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah. Like anytime I hear music, I was just listening to The Weeknd's newest song called After Hours, and I just realized how much I love him and just love music because, like, going back to John Mayer now, like when people sing and when people create songs that make me actually have goosebumps and make me feel things, what so many different genres, so many artists have done it, but John Mayer is one of those artists that makes singer-songwriter music sound so personal and so emotional and
Right.
yeah, I mean, it's just so well written too. All his songs, his production, everything about John Mayer, he definitely is a visionary. I think he's one of the greatest songwriters of all time.
Yeah.
I really do.
Oh yeah. No, I agree. And he doesn't get the credit he deserves because he's not this like picture perfect guy that's just, like, yeah, he has an ego and he knows how good he is and he's made tons and tons of mistakes. I think he's kind of redeemed himself in the last few years. I think a lot more people like him now.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you can't argue with talent, even if you don't like someone. I feel like you can't, it really bothers me when people say they don't like him because of that. I'm like, it doesn't, I don't know.
You can't really hate. I mean, he's learned so much. You can tell. Like he went through a period of time where he had a crazy ego, and he even has said that. I've heard him say it on his Instagram live thing where he just had to learn how to live with himself and how to calm himself down. And He's humbled himself. He's fucking hilarious. That guy is so funny. I mean, he could be a comedian.
Extremely smart too.
Very smart guy. I mean,
Yeah.
he got lost in his own head. I can see why. I mean, he was. I mean, he was living in an era where there was no Eric Claptons, and he was doing that. You know what I mean? He was doing what people were doing in the 80s and the 70s, the 90s. Like he was literally doing some crazy shit, and he wasn't. I wouldn't say like he wasn't getting enough credit, because he's got a lot of credit, but like he really actually, I think, for Continuum and stuff,
Oh yeah.
those albums that he was writing, I mean, he had to have been in a really, really confident space to write that,
Oh, for sure. Yeah. He I remember in like an interview too, he was just talking about like he was young when he first, like when Daughters and stuff came out. I mean, he was only in his like mid early 20s, and he was this guy that was dating like all of the most beautiful celebrities, and it's like, how could it not go to your head?
Yeah.
When you're that, when you already may have an ego, and you have all that talent, and it's like no one can tell you no, because you are that good. And I think that is a recipe for disaster, obviously, but he's obviously learned from that now, because he's very open about it. But yeah. Anyways, yeah, he's a really big one for me, for sure. So cool. What's another one for you?
Yeah, I'll take it. Another one for me would be I'm gonna go ahead and say, I don't know what I want to say next. I'm gonna go ahead and say Kendrick Lamar now.
Ooh,
yeah,
very nice.
Kendrick is so these are like two of my rap picks. I also have been influenced by a lot of rock. I'll get into that later, but Kendrick, I don't know. I think what he's doing nowadays is just so intoxicating to me. He's like taking old school hip hop production, and he's taking just like real actual, West Coast rap, and he's able to make it exciting for everybody. And
yeah, he's mainstreamed what used to be so like taboo once before. Like, oh my gosh, it's because he has like that underground thing, but it's so big, it's like all over the place. It's crazy.
And he's one of the only artists of all time that can do that kind of music, and then he can be a feature on a Taylor Swift song and kill it.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know what I mean? He did that. It's like it's so crazy. I just think his range of talent is it's like unbelievable. And I don't know, it really just comes down to everything I hear from him, to like all his albums, thus far for me have been amazing. I love his music, and I think it's refreshing to hear his music in today's age, especially when there's so much like over process, and it's so good. I love.
I know
Kendrick.
it is. I think he's almost like I know we were talking about John Mayer. He's like the opposite end of that, where he is so extremely talented and such a good writer. Yeah. But he has like no ego. At least to me, he seems like, I'm gonna say humble. He seems like the most humble dude.
Sit down.
And like in every interview I've ever seen him in, he's just like, "How's it going?" He's just like super chill. And I just think, that you can't go wrong with him. And I think it is amazing that someone that is doing this like more predominantly, like he's like bringing back the 90s, like that kind of amazing hip hop rap, and somehow it's like the biggest in the world.
Oh again. Yeah.
And it's just so cool. And he disappears for like years, comes back, and all of a sudden he was like #1 album.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think Damn was the best hip hop album of the last 5 years.
Damn.
I think I genuinely think when it comes to just hip hop,
I think a lot of people would probably agree with you on that. I'm trying to think of something that would compare, or not compare, but something that could contest that.
I mean, there's been some really good albums, but I would say that for me, Damn is the top, because not only was it perfect, but it also really did do the numbers, and it really did creep into every radio station. It was everywhere, and like he really, I don't know. I think he's got to be in my top 5, and
for sure,
I guess I could. There's other rappers that I couldn't replace him, actually. I mean, J. Cole is so good, and so I've been through it with him. I kind of found, I can't lie, people are gonna crucify me for this. I found him boring for quite a few years, and that's so controversial because so many people I know would just hate me for saying that, but he really did. He sounded. I didn't understand it at first. I get. I get it now. I do. I've come around.
I will, because I know that I have a little like related story to that with you, because I know for me, I always like to joke with my wife that I introduced her to J. Cole,
Yeah.
and she gets really mad at me because that's not how it happened. But um, I think that J. Cole for me in the last 10 years has been like the only rapper where I was just like absolutely sucked in, blown away. Like I loved it so much. Um, and I'm so terrible right now with his album names. What was the Drive one?
Forest, was it Forest
Forest
Hills or Forest Avenue? I forget the exact terminology.
Forest
My
Avenue
memory
was
is
my old
terrible.
address in Templeton.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
But either way, like that album was absolutely insane. And I know the one was it Born Sinner before that?
I'm gonna look up right now because I'm the worst with names. I couldn't even remember Kendrick's album names, and that's how I know I'm slipping because I literally have listened to each of them like over 5 times, and I wasn't. So yeah, it's late. He's got like Forest Hills Drive. That's the name of it. And then Born Sinner. Yeah.
Born Sinner. Okay. Yeah, and I do remember though for a while, it was funny because obviously you've been into hip hop and rap for a really long time, and I do listen to rap, but not really that much. And it was just funny because for me, I was like, dude, J. Cole though, and you were like, he's boring. And I was like, what? But it's so great because I know now, like, yeah, like you said, now he's like you know, like you get it.
Well, and like he's been doing some more because for me, what he didn't bring to the table for me. I mean, he did have what was that what was that song? Let me
My
see.
neighbors think I'm gonna dope. Oh.
The what was the? Come on now, I'm so sorry for this. Let's see here. He has a song off of Forest Hills that just made me lose it. GOMD.
I was about to say, is it GOMD?
Yeah, that one was.
Good
I
off,
mean,
bud.
he brought that energy and stuff, but like I really had lacked like that. You know, Kendrick's always bouncing me around, and I got like just his delivery and stuff. He always gets me bouncing. J. Cole kind of never did that for me, but like that GOMD song did it, and he's most of the time it's like singer songwriter stuff almost with J. Cole because he's just, you know what I'm saying. So when it came to rap, he was just like. There was times where I was getting a little bored, but lately he's featured on the London with Travis Scott and some really fun bouncy. He's been doing some cool stuff lately. I mean, I think he could be definitely in my honorable mentions. J. Cole's he's pretty
For
sick.
sure. No, that's a good one.
Yeah.
So for another one of mine,
Yeah.
I will go and say Asking Alexandria.
Yeah, let's go. They're in my honorable mentions. I'm not gonna lie. They could definitely be in my top 5 though.
Yeah, I had a feeling that there would have been one or the other for you as well, because I know for us, you know, in like 2009, 2010, they were the biggest band in our lives. We like worshipped them. We thought they were, you know, and so I had to have them on my top 5 because I think the way they influenced me was definitely on like the vocal, like writing catchy style. They were just so good at writing catchy stuff.
Yeah.
And just the production back then too. You know, like just there's so many different things about them what also just revolutionized metal back then. You know, it's obviously kind of died down a lot over the last 5-10 years. But back then it was at such a pinnacle that they were even on like Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Performing, you know. So yeah, I had to throw that on there because I think between Ben and Danny, those guys had a pretty big impact on me when it came to like the production with like even with some of like the EDM-ish kind of stuff and and whatnot, you know, and like the breakdowns and stuff. Like they were huge for me, and that's why in some of my music you hear, you know, like in my One for All song, like it opens with a breakdown. Like that's extremely Asking Alexandria influence. So
yeah, dude. Yeah. And if you think about it, they're kind of like, for when we were growing up, they're kind of like the punk scene, you know, because we had like the Warped Tour crowd, and that was kind of like the equivalent to like the Ramones and the Sex Pistols and like the stuff back in the day where like people that didn't listen to rock and roll listened to punk, and they were like super into the underground shit, and it was huge. And it was kind of the same way with Asking and like the Ghost Inside and As I Lay Dying. Like there was this humongous cult underground following for like the Warped Tour bands, and
Mm.
Asking Alexandria was definitely as well my favorite because I feel like we collectively learned so much together from them because we were I mean, for the listeners that don't know, me and Alex, when we were writing music the most heavily right after high school, it was pretty metal. Like we were making metalcore music, and we were like just listening to a ton of Asking Alexandria and bands like them. We Came as Romans. Well,
Hmm.
there's so many to list, but we were listening to all these bands, and I think that what's crazy is a lot of people discredit bands like that because of the screaming and a little bit of the corn. You know, they definitely had a lot of corn in there and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I learned so much from them because it wasn't just breakdowns, even though the breakdowns were amazing and the EDM breakdowns were sick. It was like Danny Worsnop, he a lot of those songs are so well written. They could be,
Mm.
you know, they could be rock and roll ballads in a different light, and his writing was so catchy that I think I may have learned more about writing a hook from Danny than I did from damn near anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't sound like him at all, but he is definitely one of those ones that he just brought it to all their songs. And I do know that Ben and him pretty much more or less kind of ran the band when it came to the um, creative side of things. Like Ben would be writing the meat of it, and then Danny would just be putting his sauce on it or whatever. But he just
Yeah.
dude, he just killed it back then. I mean, they've changed a lot. They're much more like, I don't even know what you would call it, like just
Rock and roll.
rock radio kind of stuff.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
which is great. You know, they've gotten older, they have wives and all that kind of stuff, you know, but they're not angsty teens anymore.
Really cool side story too. Sorry to cut you off, but for one of my birthdays one year, I was having struggle writing music, and I remember Alex got before I even knew this was a thing. What's the website called now? Because now it's super popular. Cameo. Is that?
Oh yeah.
yeah.
It's I think it's still. Was it? Yeah, I think it was Cameo.
Cameo.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure.
for one of my birthdays, I was going through a rough patch where I couldn't write any tunes. I had writer's block. It was bad, and Alex actually paid a cameo for Danny Worsnop from Asking Alexandria to tell me everything was going to be okay, and it was the coolest thing. It was the best. It was the best birthday present I've ever received. That was so cool. So
Yeah,
I'll never forget that. That was thank you for that. That was
you're welcome.
that was definitely one of the cooler presents because I got an actual it was a handmade. It was just a personal video from Danny Worsnop telling me that writer's block is normal and sometimes you need to separate and get back. And it was just so inspiring because I did look up to I did look up I do still look up to him as a writer in so many ways.
Yeah, no, for sure. I remember when I did that. Yeah, I just told him that you were having the writer's block and everything, and I think you know as well. Like he wasn't going to tell you something that you didn't know, but it's always really nice when you hear it from someone that you respect. It's like you're not alone. This happens to me too, and you know, and I think it kind of humanized him a bit and made it, you know, because yeah, I remember I watched it before he sent it to you, and he's just like, "Hello, Nick." Got a cameo from your friend, and he told me having a writer's block. It was just awesome. I was like, "Look at this guy go, dude!"
He seems like a
man.
badass. Danny just seems like a scrapper. I like the dude. He just seems like a maybe
He's gotten
yeah.
he's gotten so much better over the years. Like I know he used to be kind of a just reckless and relentless, but you like that?
I like that.
Yeah, dude, he's like a businessman now. Like he's he's
a
smart dude. But anyways, all right, moving on. So let's go into another one of yours.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with Linkin Park.
Ooh,
Yeah, Linkin Park.
that is, damn. That's like asking for me. I didn't actually have that on my list at all, and they're huge. That is a huge influence on me. What am I doing? Gosh dang it, Alec.
Dude, it's totally fine. There's so much good music. This is tough. Like, this is really hard. I get it because there's gonna be bands there's gonna be like disclaimer. There's going to be artists that should be in my top 5 that aren't in here. There's like literally, I have like a top 20 that should be, you know, in reality, that actually influenced me. But yeah, Linkin Park, I mean, I can't lie. It was one of the first like me or Hybrid Theory was one of the first albums I heard to me that was like drugs. I couldn't stop. Like,
Oh, dude. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Hybrid Theory is literally perfect in every way.
yeah, and dude, like they went back to back with it too, because Meteora was insane. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Those albums were literally drugs. I remember the first time that I heard Hybrid Theory, me and my family were going on a trip to the snow, and I had my CD player. All these young kids nowadays don't understand the grind. You know what I mean? I had my fucking CD player, and the whole drive up there I listened to it, and then when my family went snowboarding, I stayed at home to listen to that album. I'm not kidding. I didn't
Dude.
want to go snowboarding. I just wanted to listen to Hybrid Theory, and I did. I stayed. I fought my parents tooth and they were so mad at me, but I was like, I can't separate. Like I just want to go to my room and I want to listen to this album until I can't anymore.
Yeah. Oh man. That album is so good. Like every song on that album is like a number one hit. They're like, okay, I want to do a stupid little test. What song is this? Ready?
Oh no.
Oh
yeah.
What song is that?
One Step Closer. Wait.
Ding, dude.
Did I mess it up?
No, you're right.
Because like I'm so bad at names. Like seriously, like even for this album that I listened to my whole life, I'm so bad at like, oh my god, it's my memory sucks.
Okay, hold on. One more. I'm not going to do in the end because that's obvious, but I'm going to do another one, and this is going to be really hard because it's like a synth. No, I can't do it.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
Do you know what I'm trying to do?
Yeah.
It's like the forfeit the game before somebody else.
Before somebody else takes you out of the frame and puts your name to shame, cover up your face. You can't run the race. The pace is too fast. You just won't last. Dude.
Yeah.
Yes, dude. Oh my god. Yeah, obviously.
That's what I mean.
Let's be honest. Like a lot of my shit sounds like Mike Shinoda, and it is not. I am not trying to copy him. Like I legitimately just think he just
beautiful
owns my
accident.
soul. He just. I mean, dude, it's hard not to write stuff like that because, like, Mike Shinoda was writing stuff that you just can't. Like,
oh, dude,
like you cannot. Like I was talking. It's the same thing with Drake. Like there's people that just can't forget those words.
Dude, how many people out there that don't even like rap know one thing? I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard I try to keep that in my design. Like everyone, yeah, dude. Like when I was in England, I remember that album came out shortly before I moved, and I was like 9 or 10 at the time, and I remember on MTV, One Step Closer in the end, and then when I got the CD, like Crawling and Points of Authority, which was the one we were doing a bit ago, and oh my gosh, I mean, I would literally just name off the whole album, but I'm kind of bad with names right now. So, but either way, like, yeah, Linkin Park, man. Oh man, so good,
undeniable, just undeniable. And I mean, there's very few artists that have done that where you just don't forget the words. I mean, there's Freddie Mercury, there's Linkin Park, there's Eminem, you know, Mom Spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
You got Drake. I mean, I see that song, you know, Lose Yourself by Eminem is on that level, I think, where, you know, the world just doesn't forget it. But then you also got Drake, you got Taylor Swift, you know, it's like Michael Jackson, the superstar level. And yeah, Linkin Park did that in Rock. I mean,
that was their first album. Like, how crazy is that? And then their second album was arguably, you know, on that level too. And it was incredible.
It's so crazy to think about, like, yeah, like just like their label before they put out Meteora and Hybrid Theory. Or no, sorry, not Meteor. Before Hybrid Theory, their label was telling them that Mike shouldn't rap. They were saying this is the problem. Like, we look at the model that's been laid before us. They were talking about all the, you know, the radio rock bands that were killing it, and they were like, you guys are gonna diversify your audience, it's not gonna work. And Mike was like, fuck you. And Mike, actually, cool story, Mike literally demoed all their music. He would literally create all the demos. He produced it all by hand. I mean, Mike Shinoda, I will say, R.I.P. to Chester, one of the greatest singers of all time, period, to me. Yeah. Chester Bennington's like such a huge inspiration to me. But Mike, and it's tragic, fucking every day I think about how pissed off I am that I can't hear him sing again, because it's just like a lot of emotions. That death actually hit me really hard. But
Yeah.
I will say though, so much credit to Mike, because Mike really was Hybrid Theory and Meteora. He put together those demos in Pro Tools using Contact instruments
Mm-hmm.
by himself, and then sent them off to LA, and then they went and they perfected it. But I watched the whole thing about it. I just couldn't believe it. He actually like pretty much produced all those songs.
He was like the Dr. Dre to their Eminem kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like he was just I remember I think you may have been the one that told me that. And it wasn't even that long ago, but finding out that he did that, I was just like, dang, dude. That is
Crazy.
some insane talent. That it's kind of wonderful though that you still view it as like the band, not just him.
Yeah.
Not to give him credit, but like he made something that worked so well with a decent group of people.
Yeah.
That just worked so well together. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. 100%.
Yeah. So gotta go with Linkin Park. But yeah, what about you? We got 2 more each, I think. Yeah, 2 more.
2 more. Yeah.
Nice. What you got?
Oh no, I have. Oh, you have 2 more. I have 3 more. So next one, Coldplay.
Nice.
Yeah, I just think it's funny because after all the bands we've been talking about, like all these metal bands and stuff, it's like Coldplay. Yeah, Coldplay. I have to put them on there. I think all their albums are great, but for me personally, Parachutes, A Rush of Blood to the Head, X and Y, and even I think it's Ghost Stories was the one that came out 4 years ago. I have such a huge soft spot for music that is extremely like mellow, and just there's something about like Parachutes is one of my all-time favorite albums. It's on that same level as like Hybrid Theory, where I can listen to the whole thing and it's just absolutely incredible. And yeah, they're just one of those bands that, I can't necessarily say that I can pinpoint exactly how they influence me now, but I know they do because they've been in my life since I can remember, and I've always loved them so much. So I know to some degree they influence me,
No doubt. And when I was talking about I was talking to my wife Tiffany. She's sorry for the listeners at home that are listening that don't know my wife's name. I was talking to my wife, and we were discussing top 5s, and this is when I was writing down in notes who I was going to talk about. And for her, Coldplay was number 1. And I think for so many people, because once again, Coldplay is one of those undeniably like what's his name,
Chris Martin.
Chris Martin's just an undeniable. He's another one of the greatest songwriters of all time. He really does make masterpieces. It's not necessarily like my vibe, kind of like what you were saying with Drake, but I respect the living shit out of it. And I've never heard a Coldplay song I didn't like. Like I never heard a Coldplay song and was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I can totally understand that. I kind of think that I will give some of those some of those albums a chance now that I've been listening to music for so much longer, because I'm almost curious. I kind of want to go back and listen to that now, give it another shot.
Yeah, dude, I would say Parachutes, which had like Yellow on it. Obviously that was like their biggest hit when they first came out, and then like Trouble and stuff like that. But that album to me is absolute perfection, and I love X and Y so much. It's so different, but it's like if Pink Floyd and Coldplay had a baby. It's just amazing. So yeah, anyways, I can't say necessarily vocally. I almost just think it's like the emotion that goes into, and just the overall atmosphere that goes into their slower productions. It's just amazing. Like you get lost in it, and I think maybe that's what I try and take away from them. But yeah. So what's another one for you?
Yeah. Okay. I got Blink-182. This is a tie, because they're the same kind, not same genre, but same kind of energy, same kind of influence on the same level. And it's Blink-182 and Green Day. I have
interesting. Yeah. I would not have expected that.
Yeah. Okay. So that was because that was before I knew you. Like when my parents were going through when I was going through my parents' divorce as a child, I was like feeling angsty. This is when I was very, very little. This is before I even moved to Templeton and knew you. I was a little kid, and I would, listen to Enema of the State and some of their prior music on whenever I could, and it just helped me through one of the hardest times of my life because it was all about that. I mean, they had songs that were literally directly geared towards me, and they were one of the first like punk rock bands that I heard that really actually had catchy melodies and hooks and licks, and it
Yeah.
wasn't just all about being angsty. It was also about having beautiful melodies and just kind of the drums were different. Travis Barker's, just such an incredible drummer that they had. So it was just something I'd never heard before. So Blink-182 kind of just like opened a lot of doors for me musically. Kind of, I think the way that maybe, well, never mind. I'm not going to say them because I know you're saving them. But the way that
Yeah.
a certain band did for you, and then also Green Day. I can't lie. I think American Idiot is one of the best rock albums of all time. When I go back and listen to it, the mix, the writing, the journey. I mean, the story of Saint Jimmy and what he did as a concept throughout that
Mm.
album, and just like he was so woke and so ahead of of his time because everything he was talking about, not only did it come to life, but he was really fighting for stuff back then that mattered in America, and like,
Mm.
and I admire that because it was before it was cool to do that. They were doing that and getting so much hate by American media and by so many people because he was calling out their bullshit, and turns out fast forward down to 2020 and it's a shitstorm. And like I just everything about American Idiot is one of the best albums ever made to me. So that's obviously for me. So I couldn't really choose one.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think got to give credit to Billy Joe. That guy is an incredible songwriter. He's made so many hits. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I know they've been quiet for the last 15-ish years. They still put out music, but
Yeah.
yeah, like the mid 90s to like kind of early-ish 2000s, like, oh my gosh.
Oh
That's
man.
like some of the best music that was coming out at the time, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
that's a great one.
But that's a pretty simple one. Now what about you? What you got?
Well, I have one that a year ago I wouldn't have even thought to put on here. And it may belong more in the honorable mentions. Because now that I'm thinking about it, you bringing up Linkin Park, I almost feel like this actually should be swapped with Linkin Park.
Oh, okay,
and
okay.
This should be an honorable mention.
Okay.
But Bring Me the Horizon.
Whoa, okay. You know what? If you're going off the past year or two, I'm right there with you.
Dude, oh my god.
They are fucking on another level right now.
Dude, it's so funny, but I mean, obviously I wasn't like the biggest fan of them, but I'm kind of late, but I think it's called That's the Spirit. Is that the name of the album?
Yes. Oh, yes. That wasn't the last couple of years. That was further back. But yes, that's probably my favorite album they've ever made.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was 2016, I believe.
Okay.
And it had Throne on it, which if anyone listens to Bring Me the Horizon or is familiar with their work at all, you probably know that song. But that whole album, absolutely incredible. And I have to say, thinking about, comparing the two, the Linkin Park kind of influence that you can kind of put to it with the electronic and and that's kind of why I think I need to flip it around. But either way, they have been a huge influence on me. Like in the last year, I cannot to this day, I still cannot stop listening to that album.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredible all the way through.
A masterpiece. Ollie Sykes
Yeah.
is a genius. His stuff has been insane. I love that live performance with the orchestra that he
Oh
did.
my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, there's something that he's doing some stuff right now that is he's making such good music that he grabbed Halsey and put them on their remix album and stuff. Like Halsey, a pop star, superstar
Yeah.
right now, has publicly tweeted and said, Bring Me the Horizon is that band and stuff. Like they're doing things that Linkin Park did back in the day, like bringing the Jay-Z, they're bringing in other people from other genres and making them fall in love with the music, and it's just it's literally breaking barriers. And they did actually with that one album for sure, especially Throne. I mean, Throne sounds like a Linkin Park song, let's be honest. But
I know it does, and I can't remember the name of it. I was gonna say that too.
Yeah.
There's this Linkin Park song that literally goes da, 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 and I can't think of it now. But yeah, it's very apparent.
Oh,
so I will flip them, But yeah, Bring Me the Horizon's been a big one the last few years.
Yeah.
So this I think leaves one more, right, for you?
Yeah. And this was hard. There's a lot of there's a lot of people that I want to put in my top 5, but Post
Yeah.
Malone. I gotta say, I think that if we're going off the past decade, Post Malone.
So proud.
Oh man, he's made me fall in love with albums again. I miss that. Him, like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I love all of his albums.
Especially in the mainstream, for sure. Because
Yeah.
a lot of mainstream artists now have like a hit or two on an album.
Yeah.
And the album's pretty good, but he like,
Yeah.
no, for sure.
And every album is getting better, and I know that that's something that might be debatable. I know you I think you like Beer Bongs and Bentleys more than you like his new album, but after I've digested his new album, is one of those albums that after I've listened to it 10 plus times, I can understand why it's his most well-written music, and it's got something for me. I think his features on his last album, I can't lie, were kind of weak. Some of his features.
What was that? There was a song that I would always skip, and I can't remember it, but I would skip it only because of the freaking featured artist. It was terrible.
Was Enemies?
I cannot
with the baby. Used to have
Wait, what?
friends, now I got enemies.
Yeah, that was on Beer Bongs and Bentleys.
No, that's his new album. So I actually I like that song, but I think a lot of people kind of feel it's a bit generic, and also DaBaby's flow kind of rubs people the wrong way. I gotta say, DaBaby has some songs that I really like, and then there's some songs that I really don't like, and I think the flow doesn't stop. It doesn't change.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I think it's Spoil My Night.
Spoil My Night. Oh, I was in the wrong.
With Swali or Sway Lee or whatever.
Wait, Sway Lee's in Spoil My Night? I thought that was Sunflower. Let me see.
I'm gonna play this at such a low volume the podcast can't hear it.
Let me
I'm gonna
see
see
here.
if this is right.
Spoil My Night.
Yeah, it's that one. I always skipped that one, and it's not because of him or because of the beat. It was only because of Sway Lee. I just did not like what he did on that
song. Was
song.
Beer Bongs and Bentleys. I was thinking you were talking about his newer album, Hollywood's Bleeding.
Oh no, sorry.
Got you. Okay. I could see. I mean, I like Spoil My Night, but yeah, I could see how that could get a little monotonous.
Dude, Paranoid though.
Oh man, Paranoid.
Or what was that 47? The one that you loved so much, and then when I listened to it, it's the one that goes, and then a choppa. Like that one.
Oh shit. Man, once again my memory. Rich and Sad.
No.
It's
like 47 Rover or 40. It's like something like that.
Oh yes, 92 Explorer. That's right.
92
Yes,
Rover.
dude. 92 Explorer. That's
92 Explorer.
Yes, dude. I think Rich and Sad's my favorite song off Beer Bongs and Bentleys, but 92 Explorer is up there. that's a bouncy one.
Yeah, dude. Quick side note: I remember when I was first listening to Post Malone, like with his first album that came out. Beer Bongs and Bentleys hadn't come out yet, but I was listening to him a lot, and my wife Leanna wasn't really the biggest fan. Like, she thought it was fine, but she was kind of didn't really see the appeal.
Yeah.
Do you know what song changed her opinion?
Let me guess. Was it Rockstar?
No.
Oh.
Because this was before that album came out. So it wasn't even necessarily the song per se. It was a lyric.
Oh.
Like, she got so pumped. Sorry, you won't be able to guess it. There's so many songs to guess from. It was Candy Paint.
Oh,
Making
hell
paper,
yeah. Candy Paint.
Like a Michael Scott.
Like a Michael Scott. She got brought in by the Office reference. I love it.
She loved it. I think that was the turning point for her. I could be wrong. She'll let me know, but I'm pretty sure that was the turning point. He's like, damn, I love paper like a Michael Scott.
Like a Michael Scott. Damn.
So good.
Dude, I love it.
Good.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that, I mean, he gets a lot of hate too, because a lot of people call him like a cultural appropriator and stuff like that, which, I mean, I think it's crazy. I think it's bullshit.
What is it, like culture vulture or whatever?
Yeah, culture vulture. Like he's stealing from hip hop, which I don't understand. I've never heard Post Malone bar up. You know what I mean? So I don't really get it. But either way, they classify him sometimes as a hip hop artist and being in the hip hop circle. So I mean, that's, it is what it is. But you can't hate on somebody for loving it. Obviously, he loves hip hop and rap, and that's why his music has that fusion sound. And you can't hate on somebody for for loving
Yeah.
something and incorporating it and being influenced by it. I think that's fucking stupid, but
Yeah.
and people do it all the time, and you know, his body of work is there. That's the thing about this top 5 thing. The difference between the top 5ers and like the top 20ers, I guess, would just be the body of work.
Yeah.
So
that's a huge part of it for sure. I know, like, obviously as we've been saying, like the influence or whatnot, but yeah, definitely the body of work as well. Because so far with everyone we've mentioned, it's like great songwriters, and how could we not be influenced by great songwriters? That's what we're trying to do. So
oh hell yeah,
you know,
right.
But
yeah. So
I guess
that's
are we on my last
top
one?
5? Now we're on your final one.
All right.
I think I know who it is.
Yeah, of course you do. It's no surprise to anyone, especially if you listen to the last podcast, because I think I talked about it in the last or the first one. But Metallica, of course. Yeah, they are the reason I got into music. And I think I could leave it as simple as that. I don't really need to explain it. I mean, even if you don't like the band, you know who they are. Like they have been the biggest influence on rock metal ever. I mean, people may disagree, but they're somehow relevant to this day. They still sell out arenas to this day.
Dude.
They're still coming out with albums to this day. And, you know, a lot of people, including myself, aren't the biggest fan of their new music, but the guys are in their 50s, man. Like, you can't expect too much out of them anymore. But, you know, when you look at like Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, and Justice for All, the Black Album, Load, you know, man. Like there's so much there, like, that influenced me on the guitar. Like that obviously is my biggest thing. And you might not hear it in the music that I really do now, because a lot of the stuff that I write on guitar is more modern metal kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me starting out, I mean, that was everything to me. I knew how to play arguably every one of their songs back then.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with them.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget bringing you, like, I met Alex in woodshop class, and I go, "Hey dude, we should go jam." And he's like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "I want to be like a singer. I want to like sing." And he's like, "All right, I guess."
All right.
Let's go over to I was like, "Let me introduce you to my drummer friend and Brandon." And so, you know, I introduce Alex and Brandon. They get along right away because Brandon's an awesome dude, of course. And then we take you over to to Brandon's house. We're all just like sitting there. You guys are playing and you're just shredding Metallica stuff, and I'm like, I'm mind blown. I'm like, I've never seen this happen in front of my eyes before. I've seen it like on YouTube and shit, but I'm like watching you do this crazy shit to me back then, and I know you were like, I was like, how did you learn? Like, where is this coming from? And you're like, dude, Metallica, dude.
Oh my gosh, I will never forget that moment, because you and Brandon both were just like so taken back by, you know, and honestly, all I was doing was pentatonic scale back and forth, up and down. Like, that's all it really was. But you guys were like, oh my God. And I had the same reaction to Brandon when I asked him to do something on the drums, and he did it. And I was like, oh, I asked him if he could play, if anyone likes Metallica or is familiar with their work, the song Until It Sleeps, it has this drum intro, and it literally is just like that's all it really is. But there's like this snare roll, and I didn't know anything about drums, so I didn't know how that happens. And when Brandon listened to it, he's like, okay. And he just did it. And I was like, whoa! I was blown away. He's a beast,
dude. Those were some good times, man. Someday it'd be cool if we could all jam again. It'll probably never happen, but maybe someday.
One day.
Well, when I moved to California here in the next couple months, I could set up a drum set in the studio, and then if you ever came to visit, we could have Brandon come over, play the drum set.
Oh. I still have my Jay Tercer blue Strat that I first played. I still have that.
Oh my God.
So I could bring that.
Dude, dude, I still have the amp.
You still have that crate?
I still have, I like want to go get it, but nobody can see the
no
webcam.
One can see
Nobody would care.
it.
I still have the crate amp, dude. And I also have the Carvin amp from back. Dude, we could make this happen just like it happened over 20 years ago.
Such a long time ago, yeah. That was definitely good times. But yeah, like that was I guess getting to the end of that, sorry, with like the whole Metallica thing, like yeah, like they just arguably the most influential band that ever
Yeah.
entered my ear holes.
Yeah.
So I guess we could go into our honorable mentions real quick, and I'll just say this one to knock it out because
Yeah.
you already brought him up, but Post Malone was an honorable mention for me
Hey.
for sure.
Very nice. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. I think it's so cool to see an artist. Not to keep talking about Post Malone, but it's really cool to see an artist since Linkin Park fusing rap and rock.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that's really refreshing for a lot of people, and people do hate regardless because of the auto-tune. Let's be honest, and I experienced that firsthand, and you know, it is what it is.
I love it, dude. Like, and I've said this to you personally, and it's how I feel with him. Some people just sound so good with it. Like the voice just goes well with it. And like for me, I couldn't pull that off. I would sound dumb if I tried singing with like that style and with the autotune. It just wouldn't sound right.
Yeah.
But you just, yeah.
Well, you have the voice of an angel. Let's be honest. You don't need no autotune. but I gotta be honest. This is where like, you know, this is not to go on the autotune argument right now, but I just want to say this. I understand people who don't like autotune. I get it because
they think it's cheating.
Well,
even though it's not.
Well, that argument is true sometimes, like in very, very few scenarios to me. Like there are artists that I think use autotune in a way that where it's just like blatantly like they're just trying to do it because they think that's what sounds good. Like they're just saying nonsense
sure.
and then they're throwing autotune on and that's it. But like if you listen to a Post Malone or even a Kanye West 808s and Heartbreaks album or a lot of these artists, like you know, it is definitely an art form in itself, the way that they're using it. And so I think that autotune can be used in a lot of different ways. And that's the number one thing I always get is, how do you use your autotune so good? And how do you do this? And it's because it's not the autotune. It's the what I'm writing and the way that I'm putting the song together is why it sounds cool. And that's same thing with Post Malone. I mean, Post Malone is one of my biggest inspirations because he does that. He's writing an amazing song. And is he the best, greatest singer of all time? No. I mean, you know, some people aren't, you know, the greatest singers of all time, but they have really good ideas. And I think that that's what inspires me is that for me, I'm not the greatest singer of all time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that I'm John Mayer or Divide Music, but but I definitely have a vision, and autotune is one of those things that helps me out when it comes to like really nailing down my vision, and I can still perform it live. So that's where I'm like, I can see on one end of the spectrum why people don't like it and why people prefer it without it, because you know oftentimes the classics are written without it. Freddie Mercury songs and you know the greatest songs of all time. Autotune has a way of killing timelessness, and I do think that it can. But I think Post Malone is making timeless songs with autotune. I think it can be done.
Do I need to sing? Do you believe?
Yeah, well, great point. Great point, dude. Yeah, so autotune can be used as a really cool, you know, artistic, creative tool, I think it's possible.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I agree.
Posty.
All right. Let's get on to one of your honorable mentions.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say The Weeknd.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
The Weeknd, I feel his music's I feel like he's one of the only artists nowadays writing classics. I think Starboy, and I think certain songs that he's written, you know, lots of, especially Blinding Lights now.
Blinding Light. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll just full disclaimer. I'm not the biggest fan of The Weeknd. I never really have been. I liked Can't Feel My Face and I liked Starboy, but that was like kind of it because I always felt like a lot of his songs, like his general tone always was kind of the same. But when I heard Blinding Light, instantly loved it. I am a sucker when it comes to 80s pop. Like he nailed that so well.
Oh yeah. Have you heard After Hours yet?
I have listened to it once and I wasn't in the right mindset to listen to it because I know it's a much slower song. I think I was prepared for another 80s pop song. And so, but it was good though. I feel like whatever he's doing now is very refreshing to what he had been doing before. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan of the stuff he's been doing most recently.
Yeah, After Hours is a vibe, I think it's his most well-written song he's ever made. But it's like a vibe. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
the most well written. He's got some good bangers. That's a bold statement, but I think after hearing it, it's the most original sounding thing he's ever created, and that was just like, holy shit. But you weren't like super into Drake, so you wouldn't like the first. I mean, it kind of I understand where you're coming from, because like if you were in love with Drake back in the day when The Weeknd was doing interludes for him and they were doing OVO XO, that's where The Weeknd really crept into my life. I first heard him on a Drake album, and he was just an interlude, and I remember thinking, this is the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, who is this and what is happening? And that's kind of that was my introduction to him. But you know, he has definitely the Michael Jackson feel.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
you know, his stuff is I think timeless, and I think he's making classic hits, and I love it. So I got to put him on there.
For sure. No, that's a good one. It's one of those things like I can agree with that. I think a lot of the stuff he's been putting out would be considered classics. Especially when you look at some of those, because he somehow taps into like that older generation as well with like the Michael Jackson kind of stuff. Like he just does that really well. So for sure.
All right, moving on to you. What do you got for me?
7 Lions.
Oh wow, bold statement. Bold statement. I like it though. I like it.
Yeah. 7 Lions. When I was thinking about artists and I was looking through like my Spotify and stuff like that, 7 Lions is the only EDM artist that just gets me, man. Something about his music. It's just insanely powerful to me. I just love his writing style and everything about it. And anytime you hear an EDM song from me, it's severely influenced by his style. I do not capture it whatsoever, because it's what he does is so talented, and it requires
you do. You're a monster.
Stop. It's never on the level of like atmosphere that he's able to get me in. You know, like I'm trying to capture that when I do those kind of songs. And the one that I could say with certainty, if you listen to any of his songs, which mine would be my song I did for Subnautica, Sound of Silence.
Yeah.
Because it had like a drop in it and stuff. Like that is very 7 Lions. I mean, I'm pretty sure I used a preset in Serum called 7 Lions Pluck. So yeah, he is I had to throw him on there because I've been listening to him for the last 10 years or maybe more like 8. And I just love it. I love it so much.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's I mean, I didn't even know. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who 7 Lions was until you showed them recently. But I mean, I've been hooked. I mean, I've actually listened to a lot of their shit too. It's one person, right?
Yeah, it's one guy that works in FL Studio.
That's so cool, man. I love how music's changed. We should do an we already have one scheduled actually of bands versus solo, right? Don't we?
Bands versus, what do you mean?
Like being in a band versus being solo, and how different.
Yes.
Yes. I just think it's so cool that a man like 7 Lions can put together productions so big and full of life, and just it's so cool that can even happen in modern music, just the industry.
Yeah.
But I definitely have been recently introduced to him and his music, and it's been really cool and really I think it's inspiring to me too. Now I'm gonna go listen to him too. You got me. I'm writing down a list over here.
Well, that's good. Yeah, dude. I hope that you can kind of get like the same vibes I get from it, because it puts me in the most relaxed. Like I feel like I could do like some sort of crazy math equation while listening to his music, because it's just so relaxing. I feel focused. I feel like I could do anything.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's generally like, I guess you could say his music is kind of the like house female vocal EDM kind of stuff. Which is extremely popular, but there's something about his style that just gets me. I just love it so much. But anyways, I'll pass it back to you now.
All right, I'm going to go with Kanye West.
What's that song I was about to try and sing?
Do we dare talk about Kanye West?
Could have all that power. That song? What's that song?
Man can have all that power. Yeah, power.
Dude, that song... like, oh dude, that song's awesome. I don't even really listen to Kanye West at all, but that song is that's what I'd listen to if I was getting pumped to go do something.
Yeah, I mean I mean when it comes to hip hop, and he's self-produced too, which is so impressive. He was a producer first before he's a rapper. And he's he's made albums that are to me like College Dropout, 808s and Heartbreaks. I could go on and on, but he's made albums to me that were the same way that a lot of the top 5 artists that I pick had. They were timeless
Mm,
and they were just so
yeah,
good. And so I think when it comes to hip hop, Kanye's got to be up there. If this was a hip hop top 5, Kanye would be in my top 5.
yeah,
Um, but since this is all time for just our personal, preference and who's influenced us most, I don't think Kanye's influenced me more than my top 5 list. But I think that if we were doing like a top 5 rappers of all time list, I would put Kanye up there.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Like it's kind of like the John Mayer thing. People hate him for who he is, but you can't argue that he's made some
Yeah.
awesome songs and albums and all that kind of stuff. Like
Oh yeah.
he's kind of out there, but he knows how to make music, so
Yeah.
got to give it to him.
Heck yeah. What about you? What you got? Because I Kanye, yeah, he's kind of a dangerous thing to talk about because he obviously has bipolar disorder and he's been really open about that for the last couple of years. A lot of new stuff's come to light because for a lot of years people were just calling him crazy, and
Does he? I honestly, I don't. Did I just say that now? Because I feel bad.
no,
I didn't
no,
even
it's
know he
okay. I
had that.
don't think a lot of people know, or it's it's like for a long time everybody was just like Kanye's crazy, he's egotistical, thinks he's God, all this stuff, and he came out with his last album and said, "Look, I have." Well, not his last album because his last album was a Christian album now, but the album before that he was explaining I have bipolar disorder and
Really?
and I don't like to take my medication because when I do I feel depressed and I feel like I can't make music, and so I feel really bad for Kanye now that I know what's going on because he's somebody who struggles with a condition that's so extreme and so brutal. And I think that when he's not taking his meds and when he's manic, he makes the best music he's ever made, and he said that in interviews. That's when he's on top of the world, and that's the Kanye that everybody wants from him. But then
It's kind of like Eminem. When he does drugs, people love him, but it's extremely
different in the
terrible.
sense that Kanye has a condition that's
No, I know, but I was just saying that like something that deeply affects someone negatively,
yeah.
something that's really, really not healthy for them, but
Right.
it puts out music that people love.
Yeah, yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, and Dr. Dre. I'm not saying that he doesn't still make songs with Dr. Dre, but Dr. Dre was, let's be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
he was in the booth saying, "Hey, please redo that take for the 200th time because we need to get this perfect." And
Right.
and artists who've worked with Dr. Dre have said that in interviews that, and also M was on crazy amounts of drugs and he was writing brilliant songs. But
Yeah.
but yeah, like Kanye, sadly, I think he's explained that when he's manic, he just writes such good music and he feels on top of the world, and then when he takes his meds, he doesn't. But also I think we've seen when he's manic that he goes and does some stuff that people actually hate, like throw a MAGA hat on and talk about Donald Trump, and I think he
on
just
stage at the Taylor Swift acceptance thing and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, some questionable things. So I guess we're not talking about anything that anybody doesn't know. I went down that road. Sorry.
No, dude, you're good. You're good. All right. Well, I will go on to my next one. Breaking Benjamin.
Ooh, okay. Heck yeah. I love it.
Definitely an honorable mention. Yeah, I don't really know what to say other than just music that is just awesome. I mean, their formula is honestly more or less the same every time. There's like a riff intro, it goes to like a soft guitar part with him singing, and then it goes back to the heavy part. And like a lot of their stuff is kind of formulaic, but there's something that is just so incredible to me, especially with like Phobia and stuff. Like,
yeah.
I had to put them on there because Phobia is one of those albums that is just incredible. And it had a huge influence on me when I was younger. Like him as a vocalist, and I mean that's more or less it. It's just the songwriting that I love so much, and even the production. Obviously, as we both know from like CLA, like that album to this day still sounds incredible. So yeah, that would definitely be another one for me.
They could honestly, Breaking Benjamin could be in my honorable mentions too. I think because they were I mean, I didn't listen to them as much as you did and stuff, but yeah, it was so clean. Like it's such the
Hmm.
music is intoxicating, kind of the way that Linkin Park's was, because it was so the guitar work, especially for Breaking Benjamin, man. They were doing things that, like, I think I could listen to Breaking Benjamin's songs without the vocals.
Interesting. Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I wouldn't like it more. I'm not trying to say that would be better,
Yeah,
but
but you're just saying, yeah,
yeah,
like you can tell how good it is without the vocals for sure.
yeah, like I could listen to them and not get bored, even without the
Yeah,
vocals, which is crazy to think about. But
yeah.
yeah,
Dude, okay, hold on. I just realized a band that I don't have that I definitely should have on here. So I'm gonna have 6 honorable. Dang it, they should have been on my top 5. I This is the problem with only 5, but I'll mention them at the end. Sorry. So what is the next one for you?
first of all, I do want to address something that I said really quickly, because I feel like anybody who does listen that loves Eminem is going to hate me for saying the Dr. Dre comment. I do think
Yeah.
I have to address this really quick because it is public. It's a podcast. I don't hate Eminem. He is in my top 10 rappers list of all time. If you're asking me personally, I think Eminem's made some of the most timeless rap albums, but I do view him and Dre as a lethal combo, and I think that Dre had just as much of a hand in the amazing quality product that Eminem used to release that Eminem had, if not more. So I'm
Right.
not trying to take away from Eminem. I think Eminem has done things in hip hop that nobody else has done. And I actually am not saying this because I'm scared of the backlash. I want to clear it up before it even, like, if
Yeah.
anybody even talked about it in the comments. Like, I I don't hate Eminem, and it comes off that way because a lot of people say he's number one this, he's number one that, he's on the top, and he's not on the top of my top 10 list. He's not, but he's on there. Um,
Yeah. Well, I think it's more of the fact that you're trying to bring to light that as much as people love his first few albums, that the credit's not being given 100% to where it should be,
yeah,
because like he obviously has all the lyrical ability and everything. Like he's insanely talented, like one of the greatest ever, whatever. But at the end of the day, Dr. Dre was
yeah,
like
yeah.
funny word to use, instrumental to his success. I
Yeah.
mean, like what is it? The Real Slim Shady or whatever. I
Yeah.
remember watching a video where he was showing that to Eminem. And it's like you got to give the guy credit, man. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And
man,
there are rappers who do it all, and that's where
J.
that
Cole.
J. Cole really is one of those guys. J. Cole is amazing, but the vision is really what I'm talking about, because the instrumental doesn't need to be included. Because if we're going off like rappers, you shouldn't really include production in it because it's just about rap, right? Like technically, you know what I mean? Like if you're just talking about
Yeah.
the best rapper, you shouldn't factor in like all these other things. And people tell me that all the time, and I totally get that. So I'm not saying you have to do the instrumental, but the vision, the knowing which takes are the right ones, knowing how you want yourself mixed, knowing what the vision of the song is, and commanding it. Like
Mhm.
there's a lot of rappers like that just they do it all, and I think Eminem is one of the best rappers of all time easily, but I don't know if Eminem has always had the vision. I think Dr.
Right.
Dre is one of those people that was a visionary for not only him but 50 Cent and so many people when he was on top. And so I just think that I think the combo needs to be talked about more than it is, because
Yeah.
while Eminem is extremely talented and he was groundbreaking in hip hop, I think that I have to give Dre the love, and I think the way I said it earlier could be portrayed as I hate Eminem, and I actually just don't.
Hopefully, whoever was listening didn't get so mad that they clicked off.
It's just, people do, people get real serious about him in particular, and so I just want to make sure that that's out there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And then I'll just breeze through this one really quickly because a lot of people probably don't even know who this is. But Escape the Fate and Falling in Reverse, and I say both of them because Ronnie Radke is really who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when it comes to influence on me, Ronnie Radke has some songs where, to be completely honest, I'm not in it. I'm not really liking it, and he makes some stuff that I'm not feeling too hot. But when he's on one, he's on one. I mean, he taught me a lot about being a vocalist, and I think he's a very talented guy.
Yeah, for anyone that is hearing those title or the artist names and you're like, I don't know if I know who that is. All you need to think of is one song, and everyone knows the song. I swear, even Leanna, who doesn't listen to this kind of music. The situations are irrelevant now. Like everyone knows
Oh,
that
yeah.
song,
Oh,
and that is Ronnie Radke singing. And yeah,
Yep. Yeah, he's a very, very talented songwriter. A lot of his songs are just very catchy, and he taught me a lot. So I don't want to like sit and talk about them for a long time because they're not like, I don't know, they they've been off and on for me and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think Ronnie deserves a shout out. I really looked up to him in a lot of ways.
sure.
Yeah. What about you?
All right. My next one is going to be City and Color.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
He, if for anyone that doesn't know, he is a singer songwriter kind of guy that originally was in a band called. Now some people call it Alex is on Fire. A lot of people call it Alexis on Fire. But he was the guitar player and singer in that band, and then he went on to make his own kind of new band where it was just him for a long time, him and a guitar, and it was really raw and it was just beautiful. And then over the last like 7 or 8 years, he's been incorporating bands into his music, and he's kind of evolved like production wise and all this stuff. But yeah, he's always been a big one for me. I really, really enjoy his music. And I think he's influenced me a lot when it comes to just, once again, like that the atmosphere for me is pretty much everything. It's like the space that a song can put me in, and
Yeah.
his music just puts me in a space. So yeah.
Dude, I love this space. It's the greatest. It's the greatest part of music. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. If you can get lost in something, like that is all I ask for. If I can listen to something and really just get completely lost in it, I'm like, oh my gosh.
oh yeah, I'll breeze through this one without even talking about it because you already said it. But Asking Alexandria is without a doubt
Right.
in my honorable mentions as well. And then my last one for me would be actually Outcast and Andre 3000. I think that,
Interesting. Wow.
yeah, like
Okay.
Speaker Box and like Love. Damn, man, I am stumbling over the titles of things. I can't remember. Hang on, let me go back. I don't remember. I like actually don't remember any of my favorite song names or album names. Speaker Box and The Love Below, not Love Letters. I wanted to say Love Letters, but that album
Love
for me,
Below.
once again, before I knew you, actually in middle school, that was one of those albums that it was like a hip hop but like also pop funk album. It had a little bit of everything, and I wouldn't stop listening to it. And
Very nice.
yeah, just a lot of influence.
The only songs of theirs I know are like "Sorry, Miss Jackson," Ooh, and "Hey Ya," that one.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
Very, very nice though. All right, I'm actually surprised this was not on your honorable mentions or even on your top 5. I am
Uh-oh.
very surprised because it's on mine, and I honestly thought we would both have this at some point. And now you're like, whoa, back up, what's happening?
Oh, what's going on, dude? Who is it?
21 Pilots.
Oh shit. Oh my god, dude. I literally proposed to my wife at one of their concerts. What am I doing
Yeah,
with my life?
I know. I was waiting for you to say it, and you never did. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I got this one. Sweet. Yeah, I think everyone knows who they are. I don't really need to explain it. I just think that Tyler Joseph is extremely talented and just an absolute brilliant songwriter. It's just I don't know what else to say. Like their music doesn't obviously influence my music necessarily, but they're another one of those bands where they put me in a space for sure.
Yeah.
And he is just so unbelievably talented. I think he's like one of, if not one of the most talented songwriters in the last 5 years that's come out.
Oh, yeah.
He's just absolutely insane. So, yeah.
Yeah, dude, totally. I mean, I can't believe I actually can't. I can't believe I didn't put them on there. I mean, dude, Blurry Face. What was
People
I
that
thinking?
can't see him right now, his hands are over his face. He can't believe it. He's he's distraught. That's the word I'll use.
Dude, I saw them live 3 times for one album. I saw their one tour 3 times. That's how much I love that band, and I didn't put them in my top 5. What the fuck?
Yeah, man, what the hell? You didn't even put them on the list? Not even in like the afterthought mentions? Dang. Dude.
Bro, Blurry Face, that was like Heavy Dirty Soul.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at the list so I don't mess up. Once again, I don't even know the names of stuff. My memory is terrible. Yeah, her Heavy Dirty Soul, just this whole, oh my god. Even their new album, dude, Trench, like it didn't get a lot of
Oh,
love, but it's so good.
so good.
Oh my
Sipping
god.
on straight chlorine.
Dude, yeah,
That's amazing.
That's a hell of a way to close that out. Was that the last one?
Yeah, that was the last one.
Dude, I can't believe they weren't in my top 5. I don't know if I could put them actually in my top 5.
Or at least in your honorable mentions.
They should have been there.
Yeah.
They should have.
We all know they should have been there. And that's okay. Because now everyone knows how much of an influence they've been on you, at least proposing and stuff.
Yes.
So,
yes.
All right. Well, everybody, we have reached the end of this episode, our top 5 artists and 5 honorable mentions. And yeah, it was pretty awesome. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we are going to be doing mixing mistakes, which I think will be a pretty funny one to talk about, because I know that right now a lot of you listening are probably also into production and engineering and stuff like that. And yeah, it'll just be funny to go into some things that we've learned over the years and just big face palms, but we just thought that would be something fun to talk about. And then we are in the process of trying to get a guest. We will not announce it until we are definitely certain, but there should be a guest the following week. We'll let you know by next week who that's going to be. So anyways,
get excited.
Anything else
for you to guest. Do I have anything else to say? I don't think so. I think I'm out of things to say, but
shout out your socials.
Shout out the Audio Nerds podcast on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you go follow us. I think on Twitter it's the audio_nerds.
I believe so. Yeah.
And on Instagram it's just the Audio Nerds.
No, it's just Audio Nerds.
Oh, just Audio Nerds. Yeah, Alex really hooked us up with that one.
I don't know how that wasn't taken, but somehow I got Audio Nerds. There was no period, no underscore. It was just Audio Nerds. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. So yeah, you can check us out there, and we'll be posting, updates and whatever kind of fun stuff that people like to read. So.
And I guess just in case you missed it last week and you're here at the end and you don't know, we're going to be uploading podcasts every Wednesday, and also even though we can't disclose the guest that's coming on first, it's a very exciting guest. So, like, not to sound like Donald Trump over here, it's the best guest. It's it's very exciting.
It's me.
Yeah, it's me. No, it's a really cool. Yeah, we got a lot of really cool guests lined up. We haven't locked in all of them, or I'm not gonna lie, we haven't locked in any of them.
Right, but we have a list of guests that we're going to get on throughout the year, and the only reason why I mentioned that we will let you know for sure is there's a possibility that they may have to reschedule. So if that is the case, we may end up getting a different guest. But either way, that's okay. Just be excited for that. That'll be fun. But next week we are going to be having mixing mistakes, and until then, I guess we'll see you there.
Catch you on the flippity floppity.
Flippity flop, guys. See, Michael Scott. See you on the flippity flop.